Here's a rumor I can't attribute to just one writer or one source because it seemed to be everywhere this week. But NHL expansion was a very hot rumor going around the Stanley Cup playoffs. The consensus from everything that we heard was that the NHL would expand to 16 teams, way too many, by the 1973-74 season. And the two likeliest destinations for expansion teams were Long Island, New York, with that brand spanking new arena being built, and Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, yeah. That'll go well. Jim Proudfoot of the Toronto Star says that a hot coaching prospect for the Montreal Canadiens, should they dump Al McNeil, is, and he doesn't name Scotty Bowman. He says a guy that the Habs could be looking at quite seriously is Marcel Pronovo, who played for the Leafs and the Red Wings in the NHL. He was a coach at Tulsa in the Central League this year. Apparently did a very good job. A good Quebec guy, very popular in the province, very smart hockey man, and this rumor actually makes a lot of sense. Well, Jim Proudfoot wasn't reporting Scotty Bowman was going to the Canadiens, but guess what? There was an Ottawa newspaper that was, and it's a columnist by the name of Jack Kaufman. They're reporting that Scotty would take over as general manager of the Canadiens, with Sam Pollock leaving the Habs. But Sam has another job lined up, according to this paper. Sam will become the president of the National Hockey League to replace Clarence Campbell, who's about to resign. But this same columnist, Jack Hoffman, he was basically reporting what people were telling him. He wasn't making this stuff up. He did not report who his sources were, but they were interesting. This is another scenario that Jack Hoffman speculated on. He said one chap is ready to bet money that Scotty is moving back into the Canadiens organization, but through Quebec City. He said that Bowman would be named coach of the Voyageurs, which is Montreal's American Hockey League team, and that team would be shifted to Quebec City. Kaufman told this source that Scotty would never go to the minors after being a GM coach in the NHL, but he said the Canadiens will make it attractive enough for Bowman and for the Quebec fans by keeping Guy Lafleur in the American Hockey League with that Quebec team for his first professional season. Guy Lafleur is going to be way too good to be playing in the minors. Well, a lot of our shows of the last couple of weeks, we talked about the Memorial Cup, the Junior A Championship of Canada, and the Memorial Cup final between the Quebec Remparts and the Western champ Edmonton Oil Kings was held this week, despite protestations from the Ontario Hockey Association, who claimed, and they were right, there was an agreement in place whereby Ontario and Quebec were not going to play the Western teams because they play by different rules covering player eligibility than the Eastern teams do, and they didn't felt it was right to play a Western team. Well, after St. Catharines forfeited the series by refusing to return to Quebec for a sixth game, Quebec reneged on the deal and then negotiated a best-of-3 series with the Edmonton Oil Kings. Now, the St. Catharines Club, if you'll remember, they refused because of the treatment their players and team personnel had, and they did not want to risk the same type of violence and the chance of injury, risk of injury, by going back to Quebec. Now, the St. Catharines Club actually went to the Canadian Amateur Hockey Association and requested that they would return to the province of Quebec, but they asked that the sixth game from Quebec be moved to Montreal, and they would be happy to play the sixth game there. That was a non-starter for the Remparts. They absolutely refused, and the Canadian Amateur Hockey Association backed up the Remparts. Here's a factor in this whole thing that a lot of people these days, 50 years later, of course, do not remember and probably weren't even aware of at the time. The St. Catharines Club held seventh game in the series, and originally they had planned to play that seventh game at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto in order to accommodate the many St. Catharines fans who couldn't get tickets for the smallish Garden City Arena. Well, the St. Catharines Club offered to relinquish their 7th game advantage and play the deciding 7th game if it was necessary in the Montreal Forum instead of Maple Leaf Gardens. And even that very generous offer was rebuked by both the Quebec team and the CAHA. And the CAHA president, Earl Dawson, he refused, according to several reports, he refused to attend the series at all. And when he was asked why, he said he didn't want to go there to get killed. Well, the hockey in the best-of-3 series was actually quite unremarkable. The Quebec fans probably trying to redeem themselves for the horrible behavior that they exhibited against St. Catharines. And I'm not exonerating St. Catharines for the rough stuff that they pulled off, but the Quebec fans crossed many lines. Well, they gave the Oil Kings a very warm welcome. Over 2,000 of them showed up at the airport to greet the Oil Kings as they landed in Quebec for the series. Well, maybe a warm welcome lulled the Oil Kings into a false sense of security. Although there wasn't any chaos, there wasn't any real bad incidents that take place. The Ramparts won the series in 2 straight games over the Oil Kings. Guy Lafleur and the other big Quebec star, Jacques Richard, played huge roles in the 2 win. But the most valuable player for the Quebec Ramparts, probably through the entire Memorial Cup playoffs, was goalie Michel Deguise, who didn't even play for the Ramparts during the past season, but under that crazy CAHA rule that they allow some teams to take advantage of, Quebec City picked him up from league mate Sorel, and they used him throughout the playoffs, and without him, they would not have gotten past many of the teams that they played, especially St. Catharines. St. Catharines probably would have blown them out pretty quickly. De Guise was the story in that series.